If you're listening now, something inside you has begun to crack. You can't name it, only that the old performance, polite smiles, tidy routines, no longer fits. Act 1. The crack. We trace the small betrayals of normal, the persona that kept you safe until it didn't, and the hush that grows when life stops answering. Act 2. The descent. You meet your shadow, the shame, the hunger, the questions you taught yourself to ignore. There are long silences here, places where images, dreams, and quiet intuitions speak louder than quick answers. This is excavation, not decoration. Fear becomes a doorway, not a verdict. Act 3. The slow emergence. Individuation unfolds as a reclaiming of voice and the courage to live less by habit and more by truth. Transformation is measured in small renunciations and steadier attention, not in slogans. This video is a patient companion for the thinking, sensitive soul tired of surface fixes. It honors your doubt, reframes the pain as passage, and holds space while you step, quietly, irreversibly, toward a truer life. If you're listening now, something inside you has begun to crack. Not a dramatic break, more like a hairline fracture running through the carefully constructed parts of you. The polite smile, the tidy routine, the rehearsed answers that once made everything bearable. At first, the sound is almost inaudible. It's a small betrayal you call normal, until the small betrayals add up and the whole script starts to feel thin. You've learned how to move through the world as if the hollowness were a private matter, something to hide behind competence and humor. But the hush has changed. It's no longer just the background silence between tasks. It's a growing room in which questions begin to echo. You notice the pauses that used to be comfortable now feel like omissions. You notice your yeses have become automatic, your desires muted. Life stops answering in the ways it used to, and you're left with a patient, unsettling space. This is Act 1, the crack. It is not failure. It is not a verdict. It is an opening. The sensation you feel, fatigue, disquiet, a faint and stubborn sense that the surface won't do, is the first honest thing you've encountered in a long time. There is dignity in noticing. There is courage in naming the emptiness out loud, even if the words tremble. We will not offer quick fixes or glib assurances. Instead, we will hold a steadier light. We will trace the small betrayals with curiosity rather than judgment, the compromises you made to belong, the rituals you adopted to keep anxiety at bay, the tiny concessions that over years made you unrecognizable to yourself. This is excavation, not decoration. It will ask patience. It will ask you to sit with silence and listen. If this resonates, do 2 small things. Pause and take 1 honest breath. Notice what surfaced. Then, if you want to continue, subscribe and download the short companion reflection to hold while you go deeper. We begin here, quietly, together. You begin to sink into what you've been avoiding. It's quieter than you expected. Not dramatic collapse, but a slow unthreading. The rehearsed sentences unfurl, the rituals lose their shine, and something unnamed presses at the edges. That pressure is not an enemy, it is an invitation. Here, in the dim, you meet the parts you taught yourself to ignore. The hunger that looks like restlessness, the shame that hides behind defensiveness, the small, stubborn griefs you folded away to keep moving. This is the descent, and it doesn't move in straight lines. There will be pauses that feel like nothingness, and they are not emptiness, but workrooms, places where images, dreams, and bodily whispers speak without permission. Pay attention to them. A recurring image at 2 in the morning, a sudden ache behind the ribs, a dream that refuses explanation. These are clues, not problems to fix. Name them. Draw them badly. Speak them into a notebook without the pressure to make meaning. Your language will refine as the listening deepens. You will be tempted by quick solutions, a tidy theory, a pep talk, another self-improvement checklist. Turn away from those bright, easy exits. This is excavation, not decoration. You are not polishing a persona. You are unearthing layers. That means shame will show up, blunt, accusatory, and loud. Don't try to argue it into silence. Sit with it like a stubborn neighbor. Ask it what it wants. Often its true language is need. Fear appears like a locked door, Try, for 1 minute, to imagine it as a threshold. What would it mean to lean into the small acts that feel risky? Saying a true thing to a friend, slowing your morning to listen, letting a dream guide one day's choices. Start with small renunciations. One habit you stop because it numbs you, one curiosity you follow because it calls you. Over time, these small refusals add up. Individuation is not spectacle, it is the rerouting of attention. If this resonates, take 2 steps. Pause and write 1 sentence about the image or body sensation that keeps returning. Then subscribe to continue this work with guided practices and a short companion workbook to hold what you find. You will learn now that emergence is not a drama of sudden revelation, but a careful unjoining. It is the patient removal of the polite armor you learn to wear, stitch by stitch. At first you notice the edges. You no longer laugh on cue. You leave rooms earlier. You stop saying yes to things that blur you. Each small renunciation is a claim, not of a new identity handed to you by a slogan, but of an older, truer center reassembling itself. There is a clarity that arrives like winter light through bare branches, harsher, yes, but honest. You begin to hear your own voice again, quieter than the applause you once chased, steadier than the anxieties that used to speak for you. Individuation shows up as a series of tiny rebellions against the default life, choosing one slower thing, declining one polite obligation, sitting with one uncomfortable feeling until it dissolves into understanding. These are not heroic gestures. They are the slow work of aligning your life to the contours of what matters. You will still walk through doubt, and that's crucial. Doubt becomes a useful companion, not a bully. It asks better questions. It forces nuance. You learn to read its rhythms the way a gardener reads the soil, when to water, when to leave alone. Over time, courage is less about dramatic proclamations and more about fidelity. Fidelity to small practices, to listening, to showing up for yourself when no one else notices. That fidelity reshapes habit into meaning. Remember, transformation is not the absence of fear, but the choice to move with it. When you speak your truth, it may tremble. When you relinquish a comfort, grief may visit. Let them. These are the labor pains of a life being born that fits. Stay curious about the parts you once hid. Reclaim the language you used to sacrifice in service of being liked. Tend the work of attention, moments of solitude, honest conversation, a ritual that roots you. If this resonates, take 3 quiet steps. Subscribe to follow the next chapter. Download the short reflection guide linked below, and join our monthly conversational circle where questions are held, not fixed. You have arrived at a threshold. The crack you felt was not a failure, but a seam, a place where something new can enter. For a long time, you learned to perform so the world would keep its promises. Polite smiles, predictable days. Now the promises feel thin, and that hollow is telling you something essential. The life you were taught to live is not the life you want to wake into. This is the quiet work of becoming. It does not require grand gestures or sudden clarity. It asks for steadiness, the small refusals that protect your attention, the tiny renunciations that reconfigure your days. Say no to one thing that drains you. Keep 1 hour a week where you do nothing but listen, to a notebook, to the slow pulse of your breath, to the body that keeps its own counsel. Learn to track the tone beneath your decisions. When you choose from fear, you will feel constricted. When you choose from honest hunger, you will feel a widening, however small. You will meet resistance. Shame will resurface like weather. Let it speak without bargaining. Meet it with the simple facts. You are learning. You are allowed to be imperfect. You are not obliged to perform. Find a witness, a friend, a therapist, a steady teacher in Jungian contemplative philosophy, or a lineage that steadies you, someone who will not fix you, but will hold the lamp as you walk. Trust the slow metrics, steadier attention, fewer instant evasions, a clearer no, more time spent with what matters.
Transformation here is measured in months of showing up, rather than a moment of revelation. Celebrate the small rhythms that keep you true. A walk without podcasts, a day without scrolls, an honest conversation that surprises you into clarity. If this feels like a companion, keep it near. Save this video and return when the noise rises. If you want a practical next step, download the short reflection guide and sign up for the weekly prompts. a gentle scaffold to keep tending the work. This is not a finish line. It's the beginning of living with the inner truth you've waited so long to honor.